Welcome back to Long Range Productions. Today I'm going to be taking you through step-by-step how to reload 308 in virgin Nosler brass. We're going to be using the Sierra tipped Game Kings and 165 grain 30 cal tipped Game Kings. We're going to be loading that in virgin Nosler brass with Precision Shooters World precision rifle powder. Which I've actually been quite impressed with. We're going to be throwing the charge weights using a powder dropper and then going to our beam scale that has an Omega trickler hooked up next to it. We're also going to be using Federal gold medal match large rifle primers and this little guy right here, can't say enough good things about it. This is an Xtreme hardcore gear turned aluminum funnel. I have these in a few different calibers and I absolutely love them. So let's get started, shall we? So first things first, because it is virgin brass, we are going to have to size it. We size all brass, right? But we will be sizing this brass with the Hornady match grade dies. I'm using a bushing die without the expander ball because we just want to make sure that the case mouths are nice and round. We don't want to necessarily do any sizing other than that. Now the reason why I'm taking them out of this red loading block and putting them in this old crusty RCBS green block that you can see has powder stuck in it everywhere is because I'm going to be spraying all this brass down with Hornady One Shot. And then putting a little unique case lube on top just to make sure that we don't get any stuck cases. So as you can see, Nosler makes excellent brass. Drilled flash holes, excellent extrudings on the brass themselves, but as you can see, like right here, I don't know if the camera can quite pick it up, but there's a little flat spot on that case mouth right there. You can also see like this one here, it's not uniform in the edge of the case mouth, so that's going to create some issues with drag on the bullet as it leaves the case. The reason why I'm sizing it, obviously, is to knock out the flat spots and make sure the case mounts are entirely round, but also to make sure that the shoulders are completely uniform. And then I will also be chamfering and deburring to get all these inconsistencies in the case mouth edges out so that the bullet can feed smoothly and come out of the case smoothly. So Hornady One Shot actually works a lot better than a lot of people say. I like to use it in conjunction with the unique case lube because while it does work pretty well, it's not great. Adding a little unique really helps a lot. But this stuff is pretty nasty. It contains hexane and all these other nasty chemicals. So I try not to get it on my skin. That's why I put it in a loading block, and I'll hold it on the edge and, you know, spray it from all angles, 45 degrees, 45 degrees, 45 degrees, and make sure that I get good coverage on all of the cases, on the shoulders, and inside the mouths. The nice thing about this is once it does flash off, it will not harm your primer or your powders, which works really well, and you don't have to wipe it off. All right, so now that we have all the cases lubed up with One Shot, I'm going to go ahead and use just the smallest amount of the unique case lube. This stuff works great, and a little, and I do mean a little, go a long, long way. I don't know if you can see, just that tip of my finger is shiny. I'm gonna rub that between my thumb and finger and just wipe the case mouths. And about every third, I'm going to reapply just that same little dab amount. Definitely don't want to overdo it. You definitely don't need a lot. So with that, and that is literally all I use, I'm going to be putting the dies to work. So these are the 308 Hornady match grade die sets. The bushing that I'm using today works best with this load right here. Is a 334 bushing. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. There it goes. 334 bushing. So with the thickness of the case neck, the 334 bushing works absolutely perfect. And I do have the expander ball in here. I'm going to go ahead and run it because it's already in place. I'm going to put just the tiniest bit of unique on it, just to make sure we don't get too much friction as it comes back out. And I do like to take the die apart before I start every new batch, just to make sure that there's no grit or dirt. So the other star of the show with my die sets is that I run the Hornady lock and load bushings. These things are great because setting up your dies is as easy as setting it up initially and then just locking it into place. So as I'm loading, or sizing rather, I don't have the press set up to cam over, maybe just barely right there, just that slight little cam over. These cases come from Nosler pretty good. You don't need to do a whole lot of work to them. All right, I now have all the cases sized, so they are all perfectly concentric. So now, I'm just going to use this little three-way Hornady tool here with a VLD chamfer tool. I'm just going to deburr the outside just ever so slightly, chamfer the inside, and wipe it with the brush. And that is literally all I am doing as far as case prep is concerned. Once I get through this step, I consider these cases ready to load. And done.